Hey everyone, how you doing today? I thought I would show you what I've been working on the last few days, and that is mostly the Perses-CV3. And now I haven't touched the interior yet, but I did manage to finish the rest of the body with the block work, made a couple changes, and a lot of texturing. So the texturing part was certainly the bulk of the time spent on this, but it is getting there. I'm kind of happy that I'm at this stage now where I can start to begin on the interior. The texture is not like finalized yet, but it's mostly there. I'd say it needs some little tweaks and details and things like that in places, or could always use it. Um, but yeah, it's pretty much what it's looking like. Now, one of the big changes I did on this modding wise, and it's not that big of a change really, is I did widen the runways on here to now match that of the Perses-CV2. So the same width, so you can park the same size ships on there. Which I think that basically it's 2 blocks wider than it was when I last showed it. And I changed the block work up in this section right over here so the runway could be straight and wider. And I did that to match the specs of the Persis CV2 and the fact that the wider runways will allow for a lot larger SVs to be parked on them without interfering with like the center mass area, things like that. Um, and the entire bottom side I did up and textured that well, at least first run on textures. Got the front like bay door in there so you can get on the ship. Landing gear are installed as well. I may mod the landing gear. Right now the landing gear are only set up to go down 1 block below the bottom here. That was a change I made on the Persis CV2 from the first Persis 2, is I actually lowered the landing gear down by an additional block to give it that ground clearance, which makes it easier to dock if you're docking it on a planet or something like that, a non-flat surface. But that's pretty much where it's at. Color scheme very similar to that of the Persis CV2 as well. Decided to not use like the same colors that I used on even the trebuchet, and go with more of the military gray look, largely. So that's about where it's at right now. Spec wise, I mean everything's going to change spec wise, CPU and this and that. So it's kind of not really important to look at that at the moment. But it was within CPU on how it sits now, but it's lacking a lot of big parts. Um, and it does have some turrets that are not placed on here as well. I might also add a couple more turret positions. And one plan mod is I want to restructure this area over by the thruster a little bit. Where the point is, I got a pretty nice location where I could add in a couple launcher ports right. Let me get the HUD back on right here. And but I got a thruster in the way to do that. So, but this thruster can go back a little bit, and I think I can mess with it enough to get some launcher bays in there. Not that this is like a combat ship, but I want it to be tougher than the Persis CV2. I mean, with all the stuff in the game now and the kind of strength and the big bad guys can have, especially in Reforged Eden, and maybe that's true in Vanilla too. I'm not 100% on that one. That it just should naturally be a little tougher, so the front of the ship will be more beefed up over the CV2 and things like that. But the whole goal when I started this project, well, there's a couple issues. First, this one's really dated now, and I'm going to show you another version that's being worked on by JTKe Gaming here in just a sec. That's modernizing or getting this ship, more like Reforged Eden compliant stock, and I'm in Reforged Eden right now. It's way over the 2.1 million CPU, so it would require quantum cores and a bunch of different stuff like that. And this new one, I'm going to have to work out all those details. I'm glad it's a little smaller. I mean, if you take a look at the top view, and if I had these parked next to each other, they're about almost the same length. Again, I think this one's a couple blocks longer, but it's pretty close. The big change on why it's smaller is that it's got a lot less of this center mass area, and it's just not as tall. It's quite a bit more thinner. And the effect on when I started building this, I wanted to make it look like it was a more modern version of this ship. Like if this ship, let's say just on its general styling, you'd say that maybe this came out in the 60s or 70s, you know, like a destroyer or something like that. Um, and this one, I kind of wanted it to look like it was in the 2000s, you know, like it's 2010, 2000, or brand new, like 2020 ship. So, you know, granted these are spaceships, but I wanted it to have a little bit different look to it, but similar, so it matches and but looks newer. And I think it does that. I think it comes across to the point I wanted it to be. And because of that thinness too, it should be a little more efficient. It's not going to be moving around as many blocks as the existing one. Some of the areas that are on this ship I kind of really considered wasted space, like this room over here doesn't really accomplish anything. I got the medical bay up here as well in another room, but I've been now putting this kind of thing down in the hangar. Um, and then I wanted it to have some more storage and some other stuff like that. So basically, it's just a little more optimized, and hopefully that plays out and gives it better performance or makes it more of a viable ship now. Now, one thing I'm going to evaluate once I get everything else done on it is the hull material. The hull material right now I have set as combat steel, and it's very possible I might convert it to hardened steel and then replace a lot of blocks that would be in strategic places with combat steel. So, but I don't know exactly if I need to do that yet, if it's going to have enough thrust, or if I'll be happy with it on how it sits in combat steel form. I might, but I'm not sure. It's almost got the same thrust as the CV2, except for it's lacking one additional strafing thruster. So this one has two extra large strafing thrusters. This only has one. Um, could add in some little jet thrusters or something on the front for maybe a little bit of extra steering. But the design of this ship is also largely going to try to keep away most critical parts from the front of the ship. Now the Perses-CV3 wasn't doing that. Actually, quite frankly, it had a bunch of launchers on the front, and then when you dive in, um, there is a bit of a block wall in front here, but then it goes right into engineering. So I might try to change the layout a little bit on the newer ship to not have the engineering area that close to the front of the ship, or you know, warp core shield and stuff like that. I might try to pull it back a little bit, and maybe, if anything, put a fluff room there, a thicker front wall. The fluff room would probably be the lounge, a lot like the Perses-CV3 has. So speaking of the CV2, next part of this is JTKe Gaming is working on a update to these Perses-CV2, and it's a Perses-CV 2.5. And so let me get that spawned in here. I'll get it right next to the other ship so you can get a good direct size comparison. Oh, I guess I was off. Well, you get the idea. So this one is being worked on right now, and it's changing a few things. Now the Perses-CV2 has a known oxygen leak in the front lounge area, and I also have a big problem with the ship too, as I believe what happened is a long time ago I was cleaning up EGS files and folders, and I accidentally deleted the Perses that was on my hard drive that was uploaded to the workshop, or the Perses-CV2. So I downloaded it again, and it's in my folder, and I've got the ship obviously, but it will not let me update the blueprint on the workshop. So like fixing the air leak in the front, something like that, I would have to release a whole new blueprint to do that, and that's and I haven't found a way around it. So I'm glad that we'll just say JT. It's easier to say. Less words, JT. Okay. Is working on this one and trying to, like, you know, deal with those issues. Now, one of the things he did do is he did fix the oxygen problem in the lounge area. Let me hit N on the keyboard and get into a debug. Show oxygen. You can see this is fixed. Now, I was looking at this a little bit before this video, and I seen the method that he used to, or that that he used to fix this. And actually, JTE, if you happen to be watching this, I just wanted to, this works. And there's the only real problem I see with the method that was used to fix it is that this part here is a Reforged Eden only block. It's that 3-to-1 ratio ramp block. It's not available in vanilla. So I mean, if this is going to be for Reforged Eden, that's totally cool way to. I mean, that works. It fixes it. But I did want to show you an alternative method to fix it pretty easily too, without having to change or add this particular block to it. So let me do that real quick. I'm going to just at first I'm going to remove those two. Now obviously I just killed the oxygen in this room. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take out the blocks right here, and then I'm going to pop in. You could use different blocks for this, but this one works. So I'm going to pop in one of this type over here, and that was the ramp A double, and then cut corner B like right below that, kind of rotated like this here on both sides. And by replacing those blocks with those, now we've got oxygen. We don't even have the staircase in place right now. And these could be like just repainted to match, and out on the exterior of the ship could have the original stairways back in place, and you don't have any air leaks at all. So that was kind of my fix with what I wanted to do with the Perses-CV3. It's really quick and easy, and it wouldn't really cause any changes in how it looks visually. So that's one option for you. So now on other things with this ship, other changes were made too. And one of those is pretty nice. Now the Perses-CV3, being a retrofit from the original one, it gained some of the newer storage, but only had two 320K storage bays. Here, let me turn off oxygen again. So this one has 6 now. So it had some cargo boxes out in the corners of the hangar over here, and now a lot of that was replaced, and I'm sure a lot of the blocks in the wall are making up a 320K storage bay. And there's a couple of those in the back of the hangar, and there's a couple of those in the front of the hangar. And then of course it has the 2 stock ones that were there originally. So I noticed the surface texture of the hangar kind of changed too. I don't know if that was intentional or maybe a little bit more realistic look. I used I think largely this texture on the floor, but yeah, this definitely works. Very cool. So yeah, more storage. Let's see what else was done on here. Being Reforged Eden, especially, they typically need more power than vanilla creations. So up in engineering, I know that there is notice 4 additional power generators were kind of put in next to the warp core over here. And again, too, I'm not sure on the flooring. It seems a lot plainer than it was. Like all this texture was removed from the ship, and maybe that's just a personal preference. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Hey, it's totally up to you on how you do it. Also, a bunch more cores were added in, which are needed for Reforged Eden. So you have your basic and improved cores and additional advanced core over there. And this ship is CPU compliant, but does need quantum or auxiliary cores to achieve that. To get it to that almost 3.4 million CPU that it needs with the stock loadout on it. So that part's been done. Now on another thing on JT, if you don't want to put the additional generators there, and I can understand why it would probably need them, one other alternative option would be to dig away some of the blocks in the hangar here. And let me just show you, if you kind of see where I'm at right now. If these blocks here were removed, I'll get the light on as well, that would free up a couple areas for a couple 1x3 generators per side. So then you could actually plunk in 4 more in here. Now I don't know if you're intending on having this for Reforged Eden or you wanted it dual compatibility. I guess that's totally up to you, but as easy as you can make it. Like if some of this was modified a little bit, you could label it and say, hey, this is a new place for a generator. The great thing about putting them there is it's totally out of the way of the players, so no one should ever get fried. Plus, it's got easy accessibility, and you can label it nicely and say, hey, a generator is supposed to go here. And it keeps it out of the front of the ship a little bit. So just an alternative option for you. And let's see, the LCDs were updated. I think there's a few more LCDs potentially in the ship. Some of the upstairs floors, I think, got changed around a little bit, and the color of the LCDs kind of went to a cyan shade, which is totally cool. Yeah, anyway, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing when this gets out there. When it does get released, too, I'll definitely add this as a modded version on the CV2 workshop post, so people can find it and get it. Because I know the CV2 is dated. In fact, so many ships are so dated right now, and things keep changing. Even the ones that were more recently built, changes are keep on screwing with the CPU and the numbers and the counts and how they fly and how one thing happens or another. And it's when you got so many creations out there on the workshop, it's literally impossible to keep. Well, I won't say impossible, but it's very difficult to try to keep up with it, and it's not very fun, for sure. Because I could probably spend the rest of my building time just trying to fix up older creations, and by the time I fix up, 10 older creations, something else will change, and it seems like break them again. So it just keeps happening. I guess I was optimistic that once the official game went to its 1.0 release, that maybe specs and stuff would stop changing, and largely they have on vanilla. But then Reforged Eden is doing a lot of development, and things are changing all the time to try to improve Reforged Eden and keep on adding more and more features to it. So it's still ongoing with the stuff, but of course I certainly don't want to disrupt progress. I would rather see work done to the game than it be stagnant. Stagnant's not very fun, so can't complain too much about all that. It's just for a lot of authors that have been around for a while, it's probably troubling. It's troubling to me. I know so many things don't work the way they originally did anymore, and it's almost too much work to try to update all of it. I'd rather build new stuff, which, when you build a new ship ground up for the specifications of the at least current game or Reforged Eden, you can do a better job typically than retrofitting a ship that wasn't designed for it in the first place. You can plan things out better and accommodate for new parts or better storage or better thrust or more generators or whatever you need to do to make it work right. But that's pretty much what I wanted to show today. Basically, this CV 2.5 that's getting worked out, and the CV3. Now, I don't know when I'm releasing the CV3 yet, because I want it to be done and very, very nicely tweaked before I release it. So obviously not this weekend. It's possible the following weekend. It depends how much time I get to work on the interior and how content I am with the interior and everything else and stuff. And I almost got the MX4 too, and I know I showed this a few weeks back, and I still have not got around to finishing up the interior. But I'm going to try to just make a goal of doing that. It shouldn't take that horribly long to do the interior. It's a small ship. I basically pack in the regular parts, figure out the cores and how much CPU is going to take versus how much turrets and all that fun stuff, and slam it together. So I'll try to get this out prior, within the next week at least, to the workshop, and then following that would probably be the Perses-CV3. One last thing before I end the video is I did work on the Emerald Dragon project over here a little bit, and not a lot though, because most of my time was really put in the Perses, but I started reworking the early part of the wings. So I changed all the blocks here. As you can see on the original Emerald Dragon, it kind of went more or less straight out this way. provides a nice area for a lot of turrets, and then your reverse thrust. But my goal on this one over here is to drastically reduce the size of the wings. So right now, these are the original wings in the original location on the Emerald Dragon. And my design idea at the time is, well, first I did replace the 2 large thrusters with a couple XL thrusters here, and rather than going straight out, I curved this to here. Now, this area at this point on the wing is supposed to be about where this is over here now. So it had claws here, and rather than putting in claws, I'm just putting in some rocket launchers because, well, you know, rocket launchers. I basically want the maximum width of the wings to be about at this line here. So that would eliminate all of this part of the wing. But I'm going to have to totally restructure these wings to try to make it appear that they're folded back more. And I'm a little scared of that, so I keep looking at it, trying to think on how I'm exactly going to pull that off. Not entirely sure yet. It's tricky. It's important that the wings look good, as the original ones did. So I'll have to work that out. And then, of course, I want to get a lot of turrets on the wings or around the wing area as well. So I do want this to be pretty fierce, as its primary reason would be to be a AI ship, but maybe it could be a valid player ship. That's just a maybe. I'm not entirely sure on that yet until I get that far. But just wanted to show you that. And other than that, you all have yourself a good day. I may yet have a video tomorrow, and I definitely will have one Friday. Week's been a little busy. I've been kind of not having a lot of computer time, and the time I have been used was pretty much working on the CV3 and the monotonous thing of texturing the whole ship. But now that part's done, I'm excited again. Now I can get rolling on the interior, and maybe I'll do a video on the starting the interior tomorrow or something like that. One last thing was brought up last week is taking a look at other people's creations and like maybe trying to tweak them. There's some comments about that, and I like to do that kind of thing. I don't want to start it this week yet because I just haven't really had much time. But basically, if you have a complete finished creation that's either on the workshop or you're getting ready to release it, and if you would like me to look at it and try to to do like a little video of maybe I'd change a few blocks or change a few textures or something to try to enhance the looks of it some, and then I can send it back to you. But basically, it's more just to show you like maybe how I would look at it if it was my own ship and what I might do. That'd be kind of a neat little series, but I would definitely want people to want that to be done. So, I mean, in the comments, if you got something like that, and you want me to look at it, maybe just put in like a Steam link or something so I can acquire that. I mean, if there isn't any, I wouldn't bother doing a video on it. If there's a few, then obviously I'm going to have to just pick and choose on which ones to look at. Now, if they're too big, that's a problem. Like even a ship this size, that's kind of a lot to try to look at body-wise. So I could maybe like work on a little part of it or something, but I wouldn't like try to look at the whole thing as a whole. And I have a way of getting carried away. Like for instance, like it was discussed like, hey, convert this to Kriel, and and it probably turned into a 40-50 hour project on my part because I'm like doing the same thing I did to my own older ships that I've updated, like practically rebuilding most of the body in the process, changing body lines, and it's just I feel that's kind of what I do. I want it, if I'm gonna rework a ship, I don't want to just apply a new skin to it and throw in a couple things and call it good. I kind of want to like really dig into it and like, okay, if this is going to be a new ship and it's going to be a new release on the workshop, I don't want it to be like a quick update to some other ship. I want it to be way different. I want it to be way or as improved as much as I know how I can improve things. All right. Well, anyway, you all have yourself a good day, and I will talk to you later.